in for you. There we go. Now we can see just about every single thing. Perfect. Perfect. Get this last one rocking and rolling. And there we go. Get a little angle change here. Perfect. Okay. You guys are all looking fantastic. Just fan-stinking-tastic. So let's grab a 1-inch brush and a 2-inch brush. I'm going to show you what I've already done and the colors that we're going to use today. Okay. So I've taken my 18-inch by 24-inch canvas, covered it in our Bob Ross liquid white, just about the same amount everywhere. I don't know if I touched it over here then. Haha! Just about the same amount everywhere. We don't want to have too much. You want to put it on just like that liquid clear and then spread it out real good. And now let's take just a little touch of our blue. We're going to do like just a cold, stormy sky for this winter scene. Little touch of blue. We don't need too much. If we have too much, it's not going to work. Right? Small amount. Let's let that blue just get from its darkest point. It's mixing in with the liquid white every time we touch it onto the canvas. It's going to mix down and mix in and mix down and mix in. Right? We don't want to put too much. I didn't even use the other side of the brush that had all that dark color because we don't want to have too much up there. Right, now let's come in with our clean 2-inch brush, start in our light area first, and just start mixing that against that bright white, and our liquid white. You'll see instantly, right, that the sky starts to change. Get lighter and lighter and lighter. The more we mix it, the more bright it gets because it's mixing in with all that liquid white. Right, that's the good stuff. All the good stuff out there. Right, now we're going to come in with some darkness. Right, first thing, let's you know what, let's do it. Let's take a little bit of our same brush. It's got the blue and the black that we didn't even use, right? Go over here. Excuse me, the blue and the white. The blue we didn't use. Now we're going to go into our black. A little of our black, a little of our blue, just pulling it down very lightly, grabbing from the front of the pile and pulling it down that way, spinning it over, just loading it up. That way it's nice and dark. Now let's leave a good section, probably a good 2-inch section of white, right? So we don't want to come in between there and there and there, but everywhere else is going to go dark, right? We're going to get this crazy darkness into our sky. Mixing the blue and black together. Now, what happens when we start to mix them with this liquid white? It starts to get brighter, right? When it gets brighter, it's no longer dark. So we're going to go back in, grab up some of our darkness, a little bit of our black, a little bit of our blue, mix them together right here on the brush. Right, come down in here now with some extra loaded paint. It's a little darker. Right? All this stuff is our deep, dark, stormy clouds that are underneath all of our brightness that's up there, right? We have to have a bright section. And then all of a sudden the storm starts rolling in. And we don't want to blend it too much, especially with this brush that has all this color on it. It's not going to help us if we're blending it and it just continually adding more and more and more and more and more. Right? It's going to eventually get down to a point, the more that we mix with that white, the lighter and lighter and lighter it gets. Right? We get to decide where that point is. Now, let's come out here with our one of our little fan brushes. Just an old little fan brush. And you got to tell me where you're watching from. What's your favorite sandwich? Okay? Tell me what your favorite sandwich is. I'm going to use a lot of this unused white. And then we're going to drag it down over those darker colors, right? So we're going to go into our titanium white, just pulling it down. You can see the intense, crazy, thick amount of paint that is. It will literally change the shape of the brush because it's so overly crazy. Look at it. It's like flat as an arrow. Mixed down into here. Now, let's come in and maybe say we grab some of that, pop it out into that brighter blue sky, turning and rotating our little brush, right? Trying to mush it and push it and get all of the white paint to deposit off. Once that white paint comes off of our brush, we're going to go back in with a little 1-inch brush, nice clean dry one, and we can start to mix it down. It's only going to start looking like a cloud once you start grabbing some of that darkness and mixing it back up with our little circles. Right? We're not trying to make everything all the same. We're going to take a little bit of that paint, we're going to watch it grow, and then we're going to decide how far it gets to go down. Right? How much does it get to mix in before you start liking it? Oh, it's looking cool. That's looking cool, right? We can come over here, push on a little harder, and pop a whole new section of clouds right in through there. Wherever you want it to be is where it gets to be. That's the best part about making the clouds. We get to decide what they look like, how far the color goes, this, that, and the rest of it all. Right? We get to come out here and make those decisions. Now, as we're mixing it up, it's blending darker and darker and darker, which is fine. Because you need some differences in your clouds back there, right? We're catching that bit of brightness out here in our bright sky. It's coming down and hitting. And maybe it's lighting up more than one place. Right? It's not just hitting out there on the tip tops. Maybe it's coming down in that. Right? So we worked it from its brightest area down to its darkest area. That's where you want to come in, and let's say we'll pop in a whole new little section. Pow! Just a big old crazy poof right into here. Right up into the darkness with our new brightness, right? It has to remain bright against that dark section. Otherwise, they're going to look like the same set of clouds. Right? Get a little mix and a mush on there. And then we'll come back in and we'll start to mix it down. That white wants to mix in very quickly, right? So based off of our pressure, we get to decide how do we want it to look. Maybe we want our clouds dragging off this way on the bottom. Right? So you push a little bit harder. You get to pick. Look at how easy it is, guys. Literally. Literally, how simple. We can come in and do these little things. Drop on these little bits, mix it up, push it over here, pull it down, right? Wherever you want it to be is exactly where your little clouds get to be. Look at that. Oh my goodness. My goodness, right? How much do you want it to mix away? How much brightness do you want to retain? Because again, the more we mix, the darker it gets. Right? So where do you want your little bright areas to be? Where do you want your darkness? We gotta have differences. All we're looking for back in here, a little bit of difference in our clouds, right? Don't need to have anything crazy, just need to have it be a little different. Let's pop some more of this brightness out of here. Just so we have a little excess of our mess up there, right? That's all it is. It's just a mess. We want that mess to look odd and not so perfect. That's at least I do. Take it down there, just like that. And get those little bits that pop up into the brightest part of our sky. Mixing, mixing, mixing the whole time. Because our canvas is wet, right? It's got that wet paint on the base, and then we've got wet paint over that wet base. So, where does your wet base end? Maybe we had, down in here, I'm just thinking out loud, maybe there's a little soft little doer down in here like this. Kind of little floater, right? Underneath all of that stuff. A little brighter. A lot more paint than this guy up here, right? And then we're going to go over it very lightly because we know it's going to want to blend away fast. Very lightly, a couple little circles. Drag it off. Softly over it, right? You get this cool little floater in your sky. Oh, man. He's fantastic. That is a wicked sky already, right? We get to decide where it goes, this, that, and the other. Right? The more we mix in, again, on that wet canvas, which is wet with our Bob Ross liquid white, the more it's going to change. Now, we need to transition and contrast off all this bright color, right? All this bright blue and white out onto our sky. We need to mix up a very dark color in order to pop in a forest right in front of that guy, right? So we'll mix this guy up over here. What are the three favorite colors that we use in this instance right now, right? What are they? Type them into the comments. If you don't know, that's okay. Maybe it's your first time watching. Right? Maybe you just barely got here, just plopped onto the scene and you have no idea. Check the comments below because people are going to be telling you what those three colors are. Now we're going to grab, let's see, let's grab a brand new brush. We need a brand new brush. Just because those ones are getting a little tattered up. Now, if you've never seen these Gak Doctor brushes before, I think they're on Amazon right now for $7 for 7 of these brushes. It's insane. They're really good quality too. I've been using them for a long time. All right, let's get over here, and I always like to kind of rough up the fan brush beforehand. That way it kind of kicks out any loose bristles, right? We're going to come down here like this, wiggling down into the darkness. Kind of make a little weave. Look at that. I paid for that. Over here, over there, pulling it down, right? Making our brush very sharp. Taking all those bristles and squeezing them together at the end so they're very sharp, right? Then maybe up here, let's decide, maybe we pop in just a couple random little bits of darkness. And you're like, oh my God, what are you doing to that sky? Right? Just wait. You just wait one hot second. Okay? The more of these little guys that we pop in here, the more it's going to look like a far-off little forest. I'm trying to keep them nice and sharp on the top, right? Not everywhere is going to be exactly the same in between, so have there be some differences. That's literally all we're going to need, okay? We're going to take this guy, again, popping down at a downward angle. We're not flat against the canvas like this, right? We're popping down, 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 right? The more that you do it, the more your brush is going to get fatter, right? It's going to lose that sharp edge. So you decide how far your little trees are going to come down. And remember, everything else underneath is all mushed. It's all covered up to hide all of our sky back there. We're piping in an entire forest that lives on top of a huge hill, right? They may be all trees. There may be some bedrock under there. You never know. You never know. I'm going to save a little touch of that cloud as it goes behind those trees. Again, just adds depth. And now we're almost out of this paint. Or are we? You tell me. Do you think there's enough paint left in this pile to make it almost all the way across? We don't have to go all the way. But do you think? Yes or no answers. Only, right? When you scrape this guy up, it turns into a substantial pile of paint. So do you think we have enough right here in order to keep going and making our little sharp little treetops get a little bit lower and a little bit lower? Just yes or no answers only, please. All right? Dabbing it in, dabbing it in, dabbing it in. All this crazy darkness on this huge hill, right? It takes a while. And sure, we may shed a bristle or two that we'll have to then go back and grab out of there. I kind of like leaving a few bristles in my painting. It just shows you it's a real painting versus a print, right? So, do you think we have enough to make it all the way across? Or at least part of the way across? I don't know, guys. Oh, there's a nice sharp one. Oh, we got some Sharpies. Did you say yes in the comments, or did you say no? What's your answer? Type it in. Just gonna fill in the rest of this bottom space with just some mush. Right? The more we mush, the more darkness. The more it pushes our sky back a million miles into the distance, right? Look at that. Now we got this big crazy long hill or wherever, and our trees might be this tall, they might be this tall, they might be all the way down, you never know. And that's when our next little step comes in, right? We're gonna take our 2-inch brush, we're going to flatten down all of this mush, right? We're gonna drag up and flatten it. See how it kind of automatically changes it already, and if you can look closely and see a couple little drags off the tip tops of some of those trees, that's what you want. Oh, perfect, right there. A little drag off the top. Looks like a bit of trunk that doesn't have any branchies on it, right? Boom, 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 boom. Fantastic. Now this looks like butt. This looks awesome. This looks like butt, right? So what are we gonna do down here in order to make our mist? I get the question all the time. It's usually people that show up a little bit after this. They go, oh my God, how'd you do that mistiness, right? I'm gonna show you right now. Just right now. Now, there's a couple different ways you can do it, okay? I prefer the second way I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you one way down here, and then I'm going to show you a second way. You tell me which way you like better, which one looks better, okay? So, we're going to take a bit of our white onto our brush, just like we were going to come up here and make a cloud, right? If we were going to come make a cloud into our trees, we'd be down in here and just kind of mixing up and pushing over. Right? Thank you for the gift. I love you. Right? Now you got a little bit of mist down here. You can come in with one of your brushes, kind of mix up that mist into our darkness above, right? It can grow a little bit, it can be a little bright, it can do whatever. It doesn't have to be anything, right? Now you got a little fog at the base. But what about over here? Let's take our 2-inch brush or 1-inch brush or whatever and start to dab into it with just the top corner. See that? We're banging away. And then we'll pull down a little bit. Well, not pull down, but dab down each time. You can hear it if I ever shut up. Right, which one looks better to you? Again, only using the top corner of the brush, less than an inch of it, because it's a 2-inch brush. We didn't even use half. So less than an inch of the brush. Now I'm going to go over this section. Which one do you like better, right? This kind of mist or this kind of mist? Or are they both so similar that you can't tell, right? We like number 2, we like number 1, we like the left mist, right? because, let me finish this little guy. Come down in here, start to blend all this stuff out with our snow. Right, wherever we go, we're going to take that same thing. So, now that you have that, we're going to transition back up into our trees. We got the left, we got the right. Which one do you like better? You can do it either which way. Which one's easier for you? Which one is not? Right? You get to decide every time you do it. It's really cool. Take this down over here. There's never just one single way to do everything, right? Multiple ways, multiple brushes you can use. You can use different things. All up to you guys. All we're trying to do is make it hard to tell where the bottom of our forest is, right? Up here, we're going to come up a little higher. That way we just have this little, it's crazy, just like our treetops, right? They're not all one crazy thing. So we'll mix it up, spin it up, transition, bang, just like that, right? Anything down here, you just mix away. Boom, boom, boom. Now, do our trees, are the base of them way down here, or do we have like a slope of a hill? Are these guys down here? Are they up here? Where are they, right? We can't tell because of the mist. That's the best part about it, man. The best part about it. Now, let's get over here, and I want to save this whole side for my big old, like, Christmassy tree. It's going to be fantastic. All right, so let's say maybe, just maybe, we put a little cabin back in here. What do you guys think? What do you think? Should we toss a cabin back into our little scene back here? Oh, that is so gorgeous. Remember, if you're watching over on YouTube, just give me a thumbs up. That's all you got to do. Mark O. Glazer's out. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate you. You guys. Bonnie Carrion, Alexis, Sue, you guys are awesome. Thanks for watching over there. You guys are wicked cool. Remember, if you're watching on Facebook, comment, man. Let me know you're here. Where are you watching from? What time is it where you are? We got a lake. People are like, I said, do you want a lake? And people go, sorry, excuse me. I said, do you want a cabin? And people go, lake. You guys are funny. You guys are funny. All right, we're going to take that same plaque mix that we had before. All right, let's take this little guy. We don't need to make too much of it. If we're going to do a little cabin off in the distance, I guess, somewhere. Just a little thing. You never know where he wants to be. Take this guy out of here. A little bristle. All right, so let's think about this. All right? Really cool. Okay, I'm going to come straight out where I want my cabin to live. I have no paint on the knife at all, right? What I'm going to do is sort of line up where I want my cabin to be and then scrape away. Now, there's barely any paint there because we misted that area up so well. All right, so let's go 2.5 off that side, go over here, go down, and scrape down all that stuff straight down on the side. Okay, so as you can see, there's not much paint on my knife right here. It is there, there's a little bit, but that just means that our paint right here is so thin that there's nothing thick like this. If we tried to come up here and do it and scrape away, you would scrape away that darkness, right? We need to have thick areas and then thin areas, and then thick areas and thin areas, thick areas, thin areas, right? Back and forth over and over and over again. I can't even see my cabin anymore, so let's just make it up. Let's come in here. Oh, I think I see it. I think I see it. Right up in here, we're going to push hard. Push hard and just mush it on, right? We want to mush it. We're going to come down. We're going to mush it again. 2 whole knife lengths, right? 1, 2. Very cool. This guy, we're going to turn this way to match the angle of our roof. We're going to push it down again, right? Filling it in. All of a sudden, we can start to see a little house forming, right? Another 2 full brush lengths, but I never like it to be exactly the same on each side. So let's go one more over here, a half a guy. Just like that. Oh, you know what? No, let's do it on the other side. Let's do it on the other side. Okay? Which means we need to make up a little bit more plaque. Over here, over there. I got my cabins all spun around, right? We need this side to be a bit longer, so we'll go 3, and we'll go little guy. Perfect. These ones are going to be down a bit more on this one side. Bring it down, bring it down, down, down. Trying to match that whole angle up there. Right? Further down than we think we need. Because we can always go back and change it. Right? Now over here, we have to have our side walls. So instead of being tipped up like this, we're going to change the angle, push it flat, and launch down a little wall. Right? We don't need to do too much more than that because we're going to do a big tree over here. It's almost like we have to paint a half a cabin every time, especially if you're going to cover it with your trees. So now we know that right here is our side wall. We got it going the other direction, right? We know we're going to plop a tree in right there. Now all we need to do is put our roof down. So we're pulling down the paint very flat. And I only want a small amount of the plaque just to be able to line out where I want my roof to be. Right? We know the roof's going to go down this way and eventually line up on our wall that's going to be covered by a tree, right? So we know we don't have to do too much. If we put too much of the plaque mix down, then it's going to make our snowy white top of our roof harder to stay snowy and white, right? Come down like this and just let it fall on it. Literally pulling it flat, scooping it up so there's a chunk or a roll, get it stuck onto there, and then just let it roll down, roll down, roll down. We know down here in the corner I'm not going to do too much because I don't want to have to fight against all that paint when I go to do my tree, but out here it's going to show. So we're going to get this guy nice, right there. Right? A little bit of paint on the edge of the knife. Right? Come up here, I'll launch in a little bit, a little touch of white right on the tip top of that darkness and go over it a little bit, right? Just a little touch. Doesn't need to be perfect, and it doesn't need to be too much. Go back in there and take it out. But now you've got your roof going this way, roof going that way. If you can leave, I'm telling you, it just makes it look so much nicer. If you can leave the smallest, teeniest, tiniest amount of that dark line up there, it helps kind of frame in your building, okay? Now, we want to see what the building is going to look like, Josh. All right, I can show you. Just chill. Okay? Out here, we're going to come up and grab it. So we don't need it to be so big. We pull down that extra paint just to give us something to grab onto. Over here, over there. We also want to work it from its highest point down to its lowest point. So going down at this low angle until we hit the front corner. Right? Now we're on the front corner of the house. Okay? We need to start pulling the other direction and feeding it upwards. By the way, if your second wall was there, that's exactly where it needs to be, okay? Feeding it up. So you have this little check mark. Whichever way you're doing it, right? Coming down, going up, and going up that way. Make it a little check mark because it's going to make it more 3D for us. And when it's more 3D, it's more fun. Now, let's get down in here with our dark sienna brown and our Van Dyke brown together. Probably like a 70-30 mix. Dark sienna and then the Van Dyke brown being the smaller of the mix. And so it stays kind of brightish. Now we'll come in with that double mix paint, right? Take a little scrape of it and come to the darker side of our house. Just like that. We don't need much more. And I'm telling you, when we come in, our trees, by the time we pop a little tree in here, its branches are going to be popping and covering over all that space. So you don't have to worry about that section as of right now. What we do need to do is take just the tiniest bit of white. Look at that smallest, teeniest little thing. Brighten up our bit of brown over here. Not so overly bright, okay? Just a bit brighter than it was on this side. And come up right underneath, push down flat, let it flow down, right? It doesn't need to be supremely thick. I'm gonna grab a little bit more of my white up here. It doesn't need to be really thick. It just needs to, and it doesn't need to break like the snow on the roof up here. Just want to mush it on. The more you pull down on it, the more it's going to look like old wood grain, right? Leave a little bit of darkness in between the snow and the actual wood. A little dark line, I'm telling you. Right in there like that. Now, if your paint happens to break and you like how that break looks, right? Back up in here. Mix it until we like how it looks. That's an old shabby building. Look at that guy. Look at that guy. Pulling him down, mixing it down over that darker paint. Yeah, that's why you have to have that plaque mix down there first. You can't just go in all crazy ham with the brown and then expect there to be darkness underneath. You gotta put that stuff in there. Look at that old building, you guys. Isn't that amazing? There we go, a couple little wood streaks on our other side. Isn't that so cool though? Just literally dropping it down, right? Trying to go down as straight as possible. And leaving our little wood planks and stuff in there is really neat, right? Now, if you had enough detail, like there's not a lot of paint on here, so you can't really drag through. But if you drag through with the tip of your knife, you do remove a small amount of dark. And that creates little planks in there for you. Now, let's say we wanted to make a doorway, right? Maybe our old little guy just so happens, maybe he's got a little window right there. Take it out by literally removing the paint from the canvas. The dark, the brown, everything. Take it out. Remove it, man. And then, let's see, let's scrape out a little door. You know what? Yeah, we'll scrape it out. Let's scrape it out. A little bit taller. We don't need to go all the way to the side, right? And just like that. Now you've got a little doorway for your guy to get into. From the side. There we go. Now, let's say it's an old, abandoned, dark, cold cabin that I don't think I want to go into. That's when you take your plaque, right? And you come in here and you basically darken out everything that was in that open section, right? And if you take out everything that was in that open section, you have this dark open hole, right? Now, inside of our cabin becomes very spooky because I don't know that I want to go in there. I turn my knife to match it on this edge. Just have a little bit of that dark, right? Doesn't want to fill in that middle spot right there. Here we go. Stop being a butt and just fill in. There we go, right? You get that darkness in there. You can then go back with just a touch of your light color, or a touch of your brown, and just kind of touch against it, creating little, like a little opening, or a little, I don't even know what you call them, those little, like a threshold, you know what I mean? That bit that goes around the threshold. That's what we're trying to create. A little bit of roundedness as it looks like it goes into that dark. Same thing you can do out here on your little cabin lip. Right there. Just a little lipperoo. Think. Like there's a little light hanging out in there, catching somewhere, and we can almost see, maybe there's a shelf and it drops off. Who knows? It's up to you every time you do it. Come back in and tap it so it's not so overly bright. Now we'll go back and clean up the bottom, right? Clean up the edge. Remembering our little check mark, and all of a sudden you got a little house out there in the snow, guys. It's so simple. Literally, once you do it a couple times, figure it out, and you go, what have I been stressing about this whole time, right? Just an old house in the night. Now, we do need to mix up a bit more of our Paint with Josh plaque, okay? That Paint with Josh plaque is going to be our big tree, our everything that's going to be over here, okay? But in this guy, we need just a couple trees to finish blocking in that house. If you don't want to paint your whole house, and I never like making the cabin go all the way to the edge. I like there being something, some bit of a tree or a bush or something there that keeps us from being able to see the wall of the cabin right against the side of the canvas. And then it's almost like you knew you ran out of room, right? We've all run out of room. That's fine. Everybody runs out of room. This is why we didn't do the other side, okay? We're going to come in here with our thick plaque mix, rolling it down, wiggling it onto our brush. And come out here and over there, right? It doesn't even have to be tall, because we know our big one's going to be over here. So what if this little guy was right there, living right next to our little cabin, okay? Now we know that it's going to be filled with branches. So again, we're going to get our paint, wiggle it through like that so it's nice and sharp. Come up here with just the corner and just tap at it. And the more that we tap at it, right, the more brush is going to touch the canvas. Okay? And the more that we tap and the more we go down, the harder we push. The more that we push in, the more little branchy deals start popping out around our little tree. Right? Now, we really want it to be nice and thick and dark to finish over, right, and then push that other house, the other bit of our house off into the distance. Right? Now, there was no need to paint the rest of our house, because it was going to have a tree there anyway. Decide what you're going to do before you do it, okay? Then you don't have to paint the whole house. Then you don't have to do the whole thing, you know what I mean? You guys get to decide. I'm going to bring this tree down and down and down a little bit, okay? You always want to go down a little further than you think you need, because you can come up here, again, grab it from a higher point to a lower point to a higher point, just like we did with our cabin, high point, low point, high point back there. Then it's going to make it look more 3D. Right? Pull this guy around the edge. Drag off our little bit of color down into here. Okay. Very cool, guys. Very cool. Just automatically building land. Right? Now, we save this area down here because we're going to have our mega tree, our little Christmassy tree. But we could also sneak something in around the side of the cabin or leave it, right? Because you never have to have it look the same. You don't need a tree on both sides. It doesn't need to be symmetrical like that. just trying to blend this and that a little bit more, just by kind of dragging some of that down, maybe dragging some of this up, down and up. I kind of like that very light corner around the edge. Let's see that guy a little bit. There we go. There we go. There we go. Right? Looks like you could walk and keep going around the guy's house on forever, here and there and ever after. Right? Where do you want it to be? I need to make my edge of my wall a little bit more straight there. Pop my darkness down into here. There we go. Gorgeous. Gorgeous. Right? We choose, we decide where it's going to be. I just need it to be a little straighter on that wall. Perfect, guys. Isn't that fabulous? Just the little things we can do. Maybe get a bit more right there. All right? If we're going to have light, then you have to have dark extending there as well. You can't just have all light everywhere. And underneath, there's always a shadow before you get to that brown part of your house, right? There's always a little shadow there. So let's take our darkness and make sure our shadow is big enough that we like it. Right? And once we like it, then we know everybody else will like it too. Very lightly dragging over, just to fill in that little spot right there. Okay, now, do you think, should we fill in another tree right here? Because that brightness, pop in a tree and you leave a bit, it still retains that bit of depth. Right? But it's totally up to you guys. What are we going to do as far as that little tree over there? Right? You guys are amazing. Honestly, just rocking. You got a little pond, right? See, I was thinking about the fence as well. I was totally thinking about the fence, but you almost got to do the fence before you put the house in because the fence is behind the house. Right? So, and if it was coming out straight like this, I don't know, it would just seem kind of, it just wouldn't really go, not for my scene anyway. So, let's take our darkness, and we're going to need to mix it up. And I'm going to ask you guys a question. Do you think that we have enough paint in this pile in order to make our giant version of this tree that's going to sit over here? Maybe it'll have Christmas lights on it. Who knows? Who knows? I've shown you in the last couple of shows how to do Christmas lights on your trees. If you weren't here, then maybe we might do it again, right? So let's come down a little bit taller from our bigger, tallest little trees back there, and just right down. Bang! Right? Where do you want it to end? Totally up to you. Just make sure it's nice and dark, right? Then we're going to come back in. I'm going to look for your guys' answers. Yes or no? Do you think we have enough paint on the pile? Oh, broke the corner of the frame on your camera. Oh, that sucks so bad. You can take it to Michael's. I know they do frames and stuff. You guys think yes? I think no. So whoever's saying no out there, I think you're correct, right? We're going to take all this thick, chunky paint. We're going to come up here, just tap it on, tap it on, tap it on, right? Just dropping down each time, tapping a little harder and harder and harder and harder and harder. Each time we go down. Harder, 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 harder. Mushing, 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 right? All of a sudden, this tree back here is just about the same size as that guy over there. Right? I don't think we've got enough paint left, you guys. And as you get down, you pop out, pop to the left, pop to the right, pop to the left, to the right, pop to the left. Nothing has to be exact. Doesn't have to be perfect. Remember, we're painting the shadow of a tree right now, the deep, dark, under shadowy bits of our tree. We're going to continue using this tiny little pile of paint until it's all gone. Right? And you want there to be texture. If there's no texture, then there's nothing for our highlights to grip. So if you've mushed over it so many times trying to get the color on there that there's no more thickness to it, it's not going to work, which is why we don't have enough paint, guys. So if you said no, you don't have enough paint, then you were correct on this one. You are the victor. Mix this guy down a whole big old pile again, right? The plaque mix, you can always go slowly with. You don't have to make an enormous pile, because then you don't know if you're going to use it all. Right? The plaque mix is very easy to mix up again and have it look exactly the same. And now we're going to go off the one side first, or the other side. I can't tell which is easier for you guys to see. Let me do this side of my tree, and then I'll be able to show you how to do this side with my hand out of the way. right? So again, all I'm doing, if you can see it, we're trying to pop in and pop down. Get a little bit bigger as you get down here, right? A little bit fuller. It starts to get, you're filling in all that empty space, just leaving your broken bits out along the edge. It's got to come down lower than our tree back here. So if this guy's like, what, 1.5 inches, this guy needs to be lower, right, than up here. It needs to come down. Now, I'm going to load up the brush again, and then I'm going to show you how the brush is hitting the canvas, right? Remember, we have our trunk right here. It's our little tree trunk. We put that in there as a guideline, right? Then we start popping in the corner, popping out. Right? The more you do it, maybe you go over a couple times. The bigger your tree gets down around the base, right? Maybe you don't go out as far that next time. Maybe you come down over here, and you pop it out, and you pop it in. You're just mushing on and moving out a little bit, trying to make them about the same length, the same distance from side to side, right? You can kind of turn your brush and give it a little whack, right? Whatever you need to do. The comfort of your own house, right? Keep it in there. All right, just like that. A little bit of craziness. Get this wicked awesome tree, right? He needs to be thicker than this guy, right? Perfect. That means he's going to look a little closer. He's a little taller. He's a little older. He's a little bigger, uglier, nastier, right? That's the way that they gotta be, man. Pop these guys out. Just make sure there's a couple little oddities. They don't have to be perfect. Just make them weird, right? Then we're going to go back and highlight both of those trees. And we'll throw our little snowy mix in as well, right down on the bottom. So again, we're going to grab a little higher, work to our low point, and back up a little higher. Okay, so we'll start up here into the branches even. That's why we make them longer than we need to. Pull those guys down and have it blend towards that guy, right? Working down to our lowest spot. Right there, so we're at least leaving some land in between the bottom of the canvas, okay? Now that we're at the lowest point, let's start dragging it this way and working up to our higher point on that side. Filling it up, right? High point, low point. Makes a little smiley face. Makes your tree look more rounded, right? Like it comes out towards you that way versus just pulling it off and having it straight along the bottom. You know what I mean? All right. Let's move over to our other 1-inch brush that had all that extra white paint on it. We'll go in here to our titanium white. Let's say all of our light's coming from this side, so I'm going to take this guy first. I'm just going to start to brighten him up. Right? It's going to mix and blend in and do all of its stuff. We just need it to be a bit brighter on the bottom. Not necessarily supremely white, just a bit brighter. In different places. You can leave it just like that, you know what I mean? Or you can make it a bit more thick and crazy on that guy because he's a little closer to us. This guy will drag around the side, and some of that brightness, let it get around the edge, maybe trying to sneak up just a little, right? We're going to have some shadowing from our tree and our cabin on that side anyway, so not everything has to be the same. Add a little bit more over here if you wanted to on your brush. And I'm talking about you have to like scoop it off so it's globby on your brush like that to then have enough paint to make it stay white. Right? Now you're looking more like snow, or at least more like snow that's closer to us than this guy is, right? They don't need to all be the same. Nothing out there has to be this or has to be that, right? You make a decision on what you like it to look like, and then we'll take some of that same bit and pull it off in the other direction. Grabbing a little bit of the snow if you can, right? You got your shadowy side and your lighter side. Isn't that fabulous? Isn't it just fantastic, you guys? I love it. Mix this up right here. Just the softest bit. Bang, right? Just, oh, isn't that? That's how you save a tree right there. I had that supremely bright spot, and now it looks like maybe I can change this guy. There we go. Pulling it up a little bit more, right? Going back to our white, and drag this guy up, and change the angle a little bit. Getting rid of this thing right there, that little branch. Now, it's a little flatter coming up to this side. All because we had to go up a little higher, right? Up into there, blend out our little guys. Hey, very, very cool, guys. Now, if you really wanted it to be supremely thick down there, you pull out your knife, get a little scrape, and just like our mountains, right, we can drag away and slide some of that color away from the painting, right, or away from our trees. Letting it blend in, and you get that extra bit of thicker snow that kind of piled up its way underneath that tree. Right? You guys get to pick every single time that you do one, you get to be the judge. You get to say, okay, I want that guy to be a little bit more chunky this time, or a little bit flatter than last time, or this time versus the last time we did it. Okay? Let it blend out and get into that snow where we can't really see. You can always, along the edges, come from the opposite side just to soften them. Okay? Don't have to go all the way back across all that stuff, otherwise it'll get softened as well. Right? But now this one looks a little closer than that guy does over there. Right? How do you want yours to look? That's what we always say. A little bit more into here too. Woo! I love it. Love the snow on the ground, baby. Oh, that looks cool. That looks cool. Very light, getting less and less and less as we get back here. And then those guys we can even blend out if we don't like them. Okay? Little things where our snow's picking up on the light. The light's catching here and there. Very soft over here. Right? Getting less detail as it goes away. Much more closely, we see a lot more details, right? So, you guys, I gotta highlight these trees, which means I need to wash a couple brushes. Did you know that this one, you can grab it if you go to paintwithjosh.com. It's over there, man. It's waiting for you. Waiting for you guys. Oh yeah, we're gonna put the chimney on, don't worry. It needs a little stovepipe, you're right. I had seen that, and I was like, you know what? I need to go back and do that before we stop. So we're gonna use a small edge of our knife, and let's put one way back here, just on the tip top. We're gonna try not to go into the snow. Right, just on the edge, there we go. Now, wipe it off, grab some new paint. Now we're gonna come a little bit over. We're gonna go down into our snow a little bit, just by dumping it on. Just like that. So now we've got one pipe on this side of the roof, one pipe on that side of the roof. Man, how many pipes do you want out there? A little stove pipe? The guy gets cold, man. Don't let him get too cold. Put some pipes up there. He's got to have like the vent when he goes to take a, an old Long Johnson. He's got to have a vent out there so it vents out all the stink. You guys know. No, I'm gonna bring this guy into this side of the roof. Actually, there we go. All right, we got two on one side. Let's see if we can pop onto the other. Oh, I like him. Oh, I like him. He's cool, guys. He's cool. I just don't want him to be on this side of the roof. There we go. Tapping it. Now you got your little stovepipes on the top of your house, and if you do go into this side of your roof, you just come along with your titanium white, just a little bit, right? Just kind of dab that section of your roof right there. That way it pushes that other pipe onto the other side. Right? Very cool little thing, guys. If you wanted a small touch of like no one's home, take a very small amount of white. If you can get a bit of white to just deposit right on the top of those little guys. It's like the snow is coming landed on the top of the pipes, and they haven't been warm in a long time. You guys already know. Okay, I'm gonna wash off a couple brushes. And then remember, if you grab it during the live show, you get to choose the title, and you guys need to start coming up with some titles right now. Because if it does get purchased, that person is gonna need your help coming up with a title, right? So, come up with a title. What do you think it should be called? I'm going to wash off some of these brushes. And then we're going to highlight those trees. And then make a decision whether or not we want to turn them into like lit up Christmas trees or if we want to keep them the way they are. All up to us. Wash off some of these old brushies. They'll be ready for the next time I need to use them. One more little fan. Never want to come clean. Once you get them into that plaque mix, they stain pretty easily. And then you have your dark colored brushes and your light colored brushes. At least that's how I do it. I try to go, okay, I need to use my plaque again. Where's that one brush that was like really dark from last time? I'll just use that one again. Okay. So you guys start coming up with a title. Remember, if you get it during the show, you get a free gift off the Spinny Winnie wheel. Or I have signed framed poster prints that you'll win one of. Right? You can either choose the wheel or you can choose the signed poster print if you grab it during the live show. Right? If you wait until afterwards, you can no longer be helped. If you wait until afterwards, you still get an awesome painting. You just don't get the free gift, unfortunately. Gorgeous. Guys, okay. Now, let's grab a very small fan brush. Very small. Okay, I'm talking about the size versus the size that we use to make the tree. Right? We made the tree with this one. We're highlighting it with one that's just about half its width. Right? That way, we're guaranteeing ourselves that we're not going to put on too much of our highlight. Okay? If we put on too much highlight and lose all that darkness, our tree will no longer look like it has any depth. Okay? Put some of it over here because we don't need that much. Take a little bit of our titanium white, a little bit of our liquid white, which is the base coat for the whole canvas. The whole canvas is covered in this white paint. It's very thin, and that way it will deposit off of our brush very easily. Now I'm going to come way out here, we're going to tap on little bits. Right? Just going down, kind of bouncing back and forth. You can see them, they're in different spots, right? It's not all in the same place. Maybe, there we go. Turn our brush a little bit, pop it over here, pop some out over there. Just doing about half of our tree with our little blue bits. And we're not even covering the entire tree, right? We're leaving lots of dark spaces in between all those little blue pieces out there. Okay? Each time that we're doing it, we're hitting the corner of the brush. You can see this side of the brush is untouched because we're smacking into it like this. Bang, bang, bang. Making our little tree branches, right? So we're going to turn that paint side towards the corner of our big guy over here. And because this is the biggest tree that's on our canvas, we may not be able to do him all in one brush, right? And that's okay. If we need to go back and clean our brush off, see, automatically, or already, I'm losing those bits of blue because as I drop them off, they're getting replaced by that plaque color. So you gotta go clean it off. Sometimes you can do it, right? Sometimes you gotta go back, get your liquid white, wash your brush off, more liquid white into the blue, just so it becomes a light enough consistency, or wet enough, that it pops off of our brush. And as soon as it pops off the brush, you gotta move, right? You don't wanna stay in that same spot. Pop it out, move, 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 right? We have not covered even half the side of our tree over here. Okay, and then we're going to come back in with all of our white highlights, right? But we have to save little dark areas like that guy I just tried to cover over, right? Little places where there is dark, not too big, right? If we do it too big, then we're kind of, there's not enough highlights. So it's a fine line that we have to traverse upon, okay? We're going to get our liquid white again. Okay. We've got some of it over here. We're going to go into our titanium white as well. We need to change the consistency of the titanium white by mixing it with the liquid white. The liquid white is too wet on its own, and the titanium white is too dry on its own. So we need to mix them together. And then, again, with the lightest single little teeny tiny little tap, and then we're moving. Tap. We're trying to touch it as light as possible, right? That's a big key. You don't want to mush it. You want to, that's what we did when we were pushing on all of our dark paint to get it to stick. Right? This, I only want it to stick in very minute places. So I'm just trying, I'm trying to see if all I can, just trying to do it, just right there, so lightly. Trying maybe 3, 4, 5 times to get one good little splotch to come out. Right? That's how soft, light that we're trying to hit it. Because if you hit it too stinking hard, right, you're going to pop a whole big bunch of darkness, a whole big bunch of bright right on top of where everything needs to remain dark, right? And that's no fun. We're going to crisscross over our blue just a little bit. All of a sudden, you got a little snow-covered tree out there, don't you? Don't you see? Can you see it? Quit screwing around over there, you can see it. Come over here like this. Get into here, a little bit more of our liquid white. I washed my brush off because it starts to pick up all that plaque, and if you come straight back here, you're just going to make this go gray. So we wash the brush off, come back into here with our fresh liquid white and our titanium white, tapping on the right side, just like I tapped onto the blue side of the top. And that covers a good, that's probably about a ½ inch right there. It's a good section to where we now don't have to touch that up top. Now we're going to pick up as light, literally as light as you can do it, without even messing around. You can even go along the outside edge as well of our big ones. I like going along the outside edge first. That way it keeps these guys out on the edge nice and bright, right? The brighter they are out here, the more sunlight they'll be catching. Tip tap, chip chap, little guys. Try not to make them too big. Try not to let anything get too wildly, crazily bright. And if it does, you gotta move fast. Get out of there, man. Now that we've gone along, at least on the outside, I don't have any more fresh corner to use. So we're gonna try to hit into the middle section in here. And then we'll go get some fresh paint for the outside of our tree. That way we're not trying to force it. Right? We don't want to try to force it in there. We gotta try to, there we go. Oh, just wherever you think it should be. So we've crisscrossed. We got one blue guy over here, one white guy over there, and then a fingerprint through our tree. Did you see that? Did anybody see that? That's okay. Now, since we need to wash our brush off anyway, we gotta go back and fix that little bugger. We gotta go fix that little booger. There we go. Super easy. Super easy. Now, to do my one little splotch of blue that was there that my finger ran through. We don't even want all the blue to go all the way down to the bottom. You want to have that deep darkness, right? Make sure you get all the blue off of your brush. If that needs washing it, then go wash it. Get a little bit of our titanium, liquid white into our titanium white, because we don't need a whole lot. We're going to be very, very light on our hands initially because it wants to plop off in a huge amount if you do it too much. Right? We're just going to fill in our little spaces where we need them, and poof, you got yourself a little Christmas tree. Just a little Christmas tree out there in the night. Very cool, you guys. Isn't that amazing that literally 3 colors. Our black mixture, right? So you could literally do black if you wanted to, but our dark black mix, our blue, and our white make a snow-covered tree. Blows my mind every time we do it. Quite literally every time we do it. Is that not insane? Is it not insane? So, Sandy, head over to paintwithjosh.com if you want to grab this one. You got to be the first one there, though. Because if you're not the first one there, then it could disappear on ya, right? And if you grab it during the live show, you get a free gift. So, watch this. Since we still got it, and I don't like this spot over here as much anymore. Watch this. Bring our tree down a little bit, right? There we go. There it is, right into there. Take my liquid white and my blue that's right there. We're just gonna use it on the one side of our brush because we don't have much to fill in. Little spot down there at the bottom. Right? Get our liquid white with our titanium white again. Oh, Josh. See what happens when you don't do it correctly? See how that liquid white instantly started going blue because I didn't wash off my brush like a bad boy. Right? We're going to come down here very light. A couple little taps into that shadowier side. Bang, just like that. Bang. Now I don't like this guy, so I can just tap him away. Boom, he's gone. Right? Wherever you want it to be, that's where it's going to be, guys. You get to make decisions every time you paint. Isn't that fabulous? Okay. Sure, guys. I'm telling you what. This one really turned out to be just a beauty. Just a total babe. I don't think I've ever called a painting a total babe before. You're a total babe. Alright, so, you guys, you gotta come up with a title for this one. If it does get grabbed during the live show, that person gets their choice of either spinning the wheel or taking one of the signed poster prints, all framed and signed and gorgeous. Right? One of your choice of 3, or you spin the wheel and see what you get. The grand prize on the wheel is the gallery matted framed seascape print that I have. It's just my absolute favorite. Right? That one is 1,000,000% gorgeous. So that's the grand prize on the wheel. It is currently still not been hit on the wheel. So, you guys, look at this thing. Literally, so quick, it took 55 minutes. That's not really that quick. Not for a Paint with Josh painting, anyway. So remember, you guys start coming up with a title, right? And then I if the painting doesn't get sold, then I'm going to choose a title at random. I'll swipe up through all the comments and randomly stop, and then that will become the title of this painting, right? Unless somebody grabs it during the last few last-ditch efforts of the show. And then you can still name it, but you gotta hurry. You gotta hurry, guys. Over here, especially if you want me to come back for another show later on, then I gotta get out of here and get some food. Alright, this guy all wiped down, over here, over there, here and there, and everywhere. Oh, it's awesome. There we go. Whoop. Bang. Cool beans, you guys. Cool beans. Thanks, Leslie. I appreciate you being here. We got to put in our bird signature, and then snow one's home, like no one's home, but snow. You guys are funny. Whispering Pines. I like those dudes. You guys and your wicked awesome titles, I'm telling you. That's why I count on you guys, because your titlings are just amazing. There we go. A few little bits. Just a random bit of some thicker paint that drug this way. Perfect, just like that. That's all I want to see. All I want to see, sugar. Okay, over here. All right, let's say goodbye to the YouTube and the Facebook crew. I never like those videos that roll on forever, especially after we're already done. That's mainly why you're watching it on YouTube. You're watching it for the learning experience, and then you don't want to have to see me, sit here and BS for a few minutes afterwards. So, I do love you guys. I can't wait to come back. All right, let's see over here. Just turn on the old monitor. The old monitor. All right. Very cool. Falling snow would be cool, right? We did that on one of our nighttime ones. I can actually show you the difference. The daytime, we may not be able to see it as well. Right? If we do like a little nighttime version, right? Then you can see all those white specks in the sky, like falling snow. But in this amount of white paint, I wouldn't really expect to see them. We could, we could do it if the buyer wanted to. We could definitely do it, but I don't think it'll add as much kind of effect as it does on the black canvas. You know what I mean? We do the black canvas and we do those little snowflakes. They look really cool. Glistening Pines. You guys are really great at titling paintings. I just want you guys to know. Thank you. Appreciate that. Like my clouds. I like you. Thank you. Love you. One spot that I see up here that just needs to get a bit mixed. There we go. Much better. Much better. A bit of our darkness kind of feeding its way out into the light. Okay. Step into the light. Over here, you guys. It just never, like, okay, it only touched the paint a little bit on the brush. Maybe I can get away with not having to do such a full cleanup. But no, we're gonna do the whole thing again. All right, we'll pop in our bird signature, and then toss the old JK in there, and we'll be all set, you guys. So, I love everybody over on YouTube and over on Facebook. I can't wait to see your guys' versions of this painting. Please send it in to facebook.com/official Paint with Josh, or send me a picture on Instagram at paintwithjoshk. So until I see you guys again next time, take care. Have a good day, and bye. Boom, guys, it's over. Holy moly. Man, that looks cool. What a